Then I suppose we start. Hello, we are in Chapter 9. Chapter 20, Shelob's Lair.
Yes.
This is one storyteller, for those who aren't aware. I'm pretty sure it's in the title of everything, but, in case you don't read the title and you just find yourself here in a random YouTube playlist, welcome. There's a spider in this one. Sort of.
Yes.
That's all I
Yes.
have.
Okay.
It was
That's a
just
good intro.
Shelob's Lair is the chapter where they go in Shelob's Lair. I guess you don't really see the spider much until the very end of it. And even
Mhm.
then, it's not really a spider?
That's
Question
right.
mark.
Yeah.
I have a question on that. But before we go there, what do you think about this chapter?
It's the action set piece.
Mm-hmm.
So it's shorter than even last chapter. It's only like 10 pages in my book.
Yep. But a lot happens.
Yeah. There's it is a there's some catharsis here, even though it's a consequence and it has consequences for Smeagol's commitment to evil. There's some catharsis there because his fate isn't really in the balance as much as it was before, at least. Like he's made his choice. It does end on a cliffhanger, though.
Mm-hmm.
The chapter, yeah,
Yeah. I kind of spoiled it because I read the first paragraph of this next chapter. So I know what
yeah,
happens. But, yes, it is
hmm
very cliffhangery. Um, you could argue that probably this chapter and the next chapter could have been combined into one, but maybe that would be a little too much.
yeah, and that probably would have been fine, but this split allows Tolkien to focus more, perhaps.
Yeah, fair enough. It also allows the book to feel like the two halves of the book are equal, which I'm pretty sure they're not, because the first half already had 11 chapters, and a lot of them were more weightier and dialogue heavy between um, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, Merry and Pippin, Treebeard, uh, Gandalf comes back, Theoden, Éomer, and all these other things that are happening. Saruman is also, he gets his own dialogue chapter, but
Sure,
then
yeah,
the second half of this is much
it's
more
definitely a little
streamlined.
shorter.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little shorter.
so fair enough.
Although,
Gotta bulk it out where you can.
yeah.
The so basically this chapter picks up from the last one, which is where they were at the mouth of the tunnel. They wake up and they go into the tunnel. It is described as a stinky tunnel.
Oh yes,
That's the whole bit. It just smells worse and worse as they go. Um, Gollum is there with them at the start. Gollum doesn't tell them what the tunnel is named. Gollum goes in first. Gollum runs away in the tunnel and lets Frodo and Sam work their way through it by themselves. In the tunnel, there's a bad thing. That's it.
yes,
I don't really know what to say about this.
yeah.
It's very familiar. There, I will say there is a good amount of description in this chapter that makes me very uncomfortable.
Okay, good.
That's the whole value of the chapter. Um, Tolkien throughout does this thing where he, he kind of uses the text of the book like it's fog of war or like it is the darkness that's in the tunnel, because he never explains to you what you're actually seeing or what's in the tunnel until it comes out of the tunnel and Sam can actually see it. So you do get
Yes.
to see through the eyes of the characters. That's the cool part of this. The other part of it is I already know what's in there because I've read this before, and I've also seen this thing, and it's just kind of uncomfortable as you're going through and the descriptions that it has, uh,
Yeah.
and then it's done. It's very brief, and so you don't get that feeling of discomfort lasting for too long. But also, if it was dragged out anymore, it would also be boring and not very intense.
I
So
think that's a good point. Yeah.
yeah, I understand where he's coming from there. But what do you have for this chapter? I don't. It's
There's
Shelob's
not
Lair,
quite
I
as
feel
much
like.
to speak on. Yeah, you're right. It's more like a experiential thing.
Hmm.
Like, and it would not have quite the same thing if we, especially with our sore throats, read through the chapter trying to scare people.
Yeah.
Go read this chapter
Uh,
yourself.
it's
Uh,
dark and there are eyes. Ooh.
yeah, I think you already did a good job um, praising Tolkien for how he was able to spook you here. Um, for me,
There's ridicule for Token.
yeah, that's right.
Oh,
No,
oh, oh, I was so close.
just a gambit of emotion there for you. Um, for I'm actually more uncomfortable by like some descriptions in the Dead Marshes and outside Mordor and Minas Morgul than by here, even though here is certainly not pleasant. Just an FYI.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't like reading. Hey, there's like a weird vine hanging from the ceiling. That's kind of odd. But me knowing that it is a spider web is like, nope, I would not like that at all.
Yeah, maybe it's because I'm so familiar. It sort of protects me a tiny bit.
Shelob's Lair is Andrew's favorite place. It's the place he goes when he's worried. He
Oh,
just
no,
hangs out there.
incorrect.
Familiar surroundings. Uh,
Um, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
well, interesting points in this chapter. It's very dark in the tunnel. I don't know exactly. I guess this is Tolkien's magic system coming back again. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with the tunnel. It seems like there are alternating descriptions of the tunnel being an ancient kind of mystical evil versus the tunnel just being an intense tunnel that has some like corpses inside it, and so it smells bad. I'm not sure what there is. In the same way that I guess I'll ask about the nature of Shelob a little bit later.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not really sure if that's like a is that like a physical thing? Is that like a spiritual thing? I'm not exactly sure. Is there magic in this tunnel that is because it talks about how their
Oh, of
senses are
course.
drained as they're going through.
Yeah,
But that could just be a poetic description of you walk into a tunnel far enough and suddenly everything kind of dies. Um,
yeah.
or that's been my experience in some caves. So what do you think is going on? What's he trying to say
Yeah, I
definitively?
think as with definitively, oh no. With Tolkien, a lot of times the answer is both.
Okay.
Um, Shelob in some ways is like Smaug in the Hobbit. It's like the dragon's able to like paralyze you by looking at you. Like, is that a magic ability or a natural ability? You know?
I didn't know he could do that. I haven't read The Hobbit in a long time.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm not making that up. I also have not read it near as much as Lord of the Rings.
The most I remember about The Hobbit is they should have made it two movies.
Well,
That's it.
I think
That's the
I
whole
think that
thing.
would have been pretty fire, yeah.
Uh, oh well.
Yeah. But with these monstrous sort of creatures, it sort of blurs the line. Like what's natural for them is could like legitimately be called magical.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think about? Because there's a moment as they're walking through the tunnels that they pass an opening, and Frodo it talks about how he just like feels that the evil is coming from there.
Mm.
Um, is is Shelob like broadcasting malice? Is that how this works? I mean, just not even just for Shelob, but for villains in this world in general. I feel like the Nazgul can do it, and just their
Yeah.
presence is kind of oppressive. But I was always connecting that to the ring because most of the time we're hearing Frodo's point of view on it, and that seems to be like they're tied in with that. Shelob is very pointedly not tied to the ring at all, and yet Frodo
Yeah.
can still feel some kind of like presence emanating from her, I guess. So how does that work, or do you know how that works?
Not exactly. No. There's a couple of factors I think, which is good creatures have some sensitivity to evil
Hmm.
in Tolkien's world. Sam and Frodo are both good, and so can magically or not perceive like an unmasked evil. And hey, there's a big spider monster here. That's pretty evil. Um, I think I think part of it goes to your earlier question too, because they can perceive the malice down there with the stench as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
So a bad smell
yes.
means evil, sort of.
Well, yeah. Well, Shelob stinks because she eats things nastily. So on a more literal level too,
Hmm.
like there's a nasty cannibal thing down there.
Interesting. I think there's a
Yeah.
line in the
But it's not just like a natural thing, for sure. Yeah.
there's some line in the when she comes out of the tunnel at the end. I think it mentions like her underbelly especially stinks. Like that's where the
Yeah.
smell is coming from. I don't know what significance that has. Sam just noticed that when she crawled out of the tunnel.
Yes,
Um,
that's right.
so, uh, so, um, Frodo, Sam, Gollum are the major characters. Shelob is there as well. Um, Sam is more of the point of view of this chapter than
Yes.
anybody, which is very interesting. I think it's happening because Tolkien's about to remove Frodo from play.
This
Spoiler
part
alert
of it.
for the last chapter of the book. But that is curious. And it kind of actually, I mean, the major player in the chapter is actually the File of Galadriel. Because if you follow the narrative, it starts with Frodo. Frodo pulls out the file, and when he hands the file to Sam, suddenly you're in Sam's head and you follow after Sam. So that's a
I hadn't
curious thing.
noticed that. I like that. It's cool.
Elf magic is messed up. That's all I can say. What?
Sorry, sorry. What is that?
Because it changes whose head you're listening to.
Oh, I see.
It's kind of it's a weird meta kind of thing to mess with me. Sam, at one point in the chapter, Sam inherits the file, and so he gets to hold that. And then you're hearing his thoughts, and you follow his story, which interacts more with Gollum at the end than Frodo's does, which has a couple interesting effects on that story. But we'll leave that for just a minute. Um, Frodo in this chapter seems a little dumber than he should be.
Why is that?
Because it was it last chapter that he was like, ah, yes, I have a file. It's good to have a light. And then this chapter, he just doesn't use the light until Sam talks about it. And Frodo literally says in the chapter, "Why did I forget that? That's crazy." And then he and then he moves on from it. Um, it feels like what some modern shows and movies will do, where they have bad writing and then they have a character say, "You know, that seems like bad writing," and they think it excuses it. I don't get why
Yeah,
Frodo wouldn't just pull out the flashlight when he gets in the tunnel.
sure. Yeah. Well, there are a couple things here. One of them is like darkness is their enemy's domain, but they have been able to use it to hide before.
Hmm.
And if you pull out a light, that's sort of like, I know where you are now. Maybe that wouldn't have made a big difference with Shelob, but there's something to that. The
There's a
other thing
line
is,
near the end where
yeah,
when they
go
get
ahead.
out of the tunnel, Sam immediately turns the light off because he doesn't want to get detected. So there is that. I'll give it.
Mhm.
I'll grant you that one.
The other thing that I think is more convincing is something you mentioned first is they feel kind of oppressed and sluggish in here.
Mm.
And that is one of the magical things going on here in Shelob's domain. And I would dare say Frodo is maybe more affected, even though the ring isn't tied to Shelob. It is stronger in evil places.
Yeah.
And so that combination is probably not good for Frodo's mental flexibility.
Yeah. Well, Frodo doesn't. Even when they get out at the end, Frodo doesn't seem to be in the greatest of mental states because he's just kind of sprinting ahead of Sam and
Yeah,
ignoring
he's desperate to get away.
that Sam is there.
They did
So
that part does seem a little silly. That's fair.
yeah, I get the idea that you want to get out of there, but also like what? um, there's a
Yeah.
big point in the chapter about how they make sure to like grab onto each other's hands so that they're not lost in the tunnels or separated because the tunnels keep going every which direction. And then Frodo gets out, and I guess he's so relieved that he just kind of sprints ahead of Sam far enough
Yeah.
out of earshot so that when Sam calls out, he doesn't even like turn around. Um,
Yeah, it
oh
does seem
well.
a bit unbelievable to me. Yeah.
Big Spider makes you stupid. Don't hang out with Big Spider. If you advocate for Big Spider,
Yeah.
something bad
Amen.
will happen. I don't know. I now live in a place with big spiders. Not
Yeah,
quite
but
as
those
big, apparently.
ones, yes. And they're nice.
I have heard that tarantulas are very nice, and they can't bite you. I really
Mhm.
have no interest in finding out. That is all I have
Okay.
to say.
Okay.
Um, they're going through the tunnel. Gollum starts out with them, but
Yes.
I think I guess two major things are happening here. One is Frodo is being removed as the main character. That's going to become more evident in the next chapter, which is called "The Choices of Master Samwise," which is to say, Sam's in charge now. Um,
Yeah.
the other big thing that's happening here is Gollum is showing his true colors,
Hmm.
and that's done in a couple of different stages. At the very beginning of the chapter, the narrator mentions its name, which I guess is Frodo. Like post everything, Frodo is writing this down, and so he mentions its name because he's now educated and knows what that tunnel is.
Yes. Yes.
And then he says, Gollum didn't say that name to them at the time because they would probably not really want to go in there if they knew what the name was. Maybe it's because Frodo knows Old English and he knows that the suffix of lobe means spider. So it would
Yeah.
make sense not to spoil that for him. A great naming scheme. Um, Next thing that Gollum does as they're going through the tunnel is he's just kind of sprinting ahead of them, and at first they're following his breathing, even though it's in complete darkness, and at some point that
Ugh,
just kind of
too far
disappears.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly where he went, but probably hid somewhere in the tunnel, or just sprinted through it because he knows the way. Either way, not a reliable guide. Third thing Gollum does would be, I guess 2/3 of the way through this chapter, there's a bit of like a pause, retrospective lore dump about Shelob that happens,
Yes.
and near the end of that, you have a comment about how Gollum wor- uh, correct me if I get this wrong, worshipped Shelob as a god and promised to bring her food.
Yeah. The word worshipped is there specifically. Yeah.
Yes. He. When was that? Because the way it was phrased, it sounds like that was something that happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
But then also, Gollum hasn't been around Mordor in quite a while, and so
Yeah.
if he
Well,
promises to bring her food and then just up and abandons that, I don't know why he would then be able to go back and make a deal with her super easily and be trustworthy. But
yeah. That's a good question. As for the time, it's it's in the 17-year gap we have from Frodo's 33rd birthday till now,
Okay.
somewhere in there. Which also is when I think that's also the time that's also matches the time frame where Gollum was captured and then escaped or was released.
Yeah. Do you think? I guess it would just be speculation. I don't think it talks about this in any of the books. Is that like on his way out he found the tunnel and he found Shelob and made a deal with her, or is that he was hanging out with Shelob and then got captured by
Mm.
Sauron?
I think maybe you could say it was both, but at least on the way out.
Okay. Very curious.
Yeah.
It,
And as for why she doesn't eat him, even though it has been a while, Smeagol's not giving you much if you eat him.
fair enough.
I think it might be that simple.
Yeah. It does also. Here we get the explicit mention that this was where he went when the hobbits were sleeping earlier
Yeah.
to chat with her. So
Which is
that's
I don't like to imagine that.
yeah. Can she
Just very
talk? Like
apparently, man.
ah,
Apparently.
that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um, Either somehow she can talk something, and somehow he can stand being in her presence to talk to her.
Yeah.
Both of which are messed up ideas.
Yeah.
But
It's not a good look for Golem that he keeps this kind of company.
yeah, these are his friends. This is what he worships. Is this thing? Actually,
Yeah.
speaking of that, a curious similarity that you see in Shelob and Gollum. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Maybe. Go ahead.
Where no, where do you think I'm going with this?
Okay. Well, this would be funny if it's the same thing, and I'll feel bad if it's not. What I was actually even about to bring up was Gollum said if he got the ring, he wanted to be Gollum the Great, eat fish every day, and never have to worry about anything again,
Hmm.
which is pretty similar to Shelob's dream, just to
Hang
eat
out
a
and
bunch of
eat.
stuff and never have to worry again.
That is not where I was going at all. But yeah, that's a good point. I can say that was what I was thinking of, and now I see why. Um, Actually, when it's curious, there's a moment where Frodo and Sam get stuck in a tunnel, and Shelob comes up behind them. The first moment where Shelob comes up, and they pull out
Oh,
the light, and they pull out the light. They see eyes. They don't like it. They start running down the tunnel, and Shelob comes after them. It's only when Frodo turns and he walks towards Shelob with his light and his sword out. Shelob's like, that's too much for me, and backs away and runs away and disappears back into the tunnels. Gollum on the other side, after they get out of the lair or the cave specifically, Gollum jumps Sam. He jumps him from behind because all he knows how to do is take people from behind, grab the throat. He misses, and as soon as Sam turns around and faces him, Gollum says, never mind, and
I
runs
like that.
away.
That's a really good connection.
So neither of them are willing to stand up to an actual like head-on confrontation. They're both cowards who
Yeah.
benefit from jumping people in surprise.
Hmm.
So it makes sense as to why Gollum would worship something like that, because
Yeah.
that's how he operates. You
Yeah.
become like what you worship.
I was gonna say that too. There's an element of that too, especially previous chapter mentions. We talked about this a lot last episode, but the contrast between Gollum when he looks like a hobbit
Mm-hmm.
than when he's more committed to the evil within him. He's described as looking like a spider.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I think that detail of him like worshiping Shelob and acting like her really adds a depth to that detail from last chapter.
Mm-hmm. He is. He is very clearly patterning after her and looking like her and becoming like her, which is a nasty thought.
Yeah, yeah,
So, You do have that. There is, I think it's safe to say at this point, there is no coming back for Gollum. He can't come back from what he just did.
It'd be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only do you have a betrayal of the two of them, you have an active attack on Sam to try and take Sam out of the picture. And then you have the justification for why it's good for what he did, which is I promise not to hurt Frodo, and I'm not hurting Frodo. So, ha.
Terrible.
Um,
Terrible.
well, I mean, even at that point, even someone as merciful as Frodo is going to look at that and say, well, so your word doesn't mean anything, does it?
I don't think we can trust you. And also, notably, their need for Gollum has expired. They're
Yeah.
in Mordor and they can see Mount Doom,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So,
Yeah.
of course, there's other chapter will introduce some other problems, but as far as like needing Gollum, it's like that's kind of answered at this point.
Yeah. They don't need a guide in the same way. All they
Yeah.
have to do is walk across the plain of ash or whatever it's called. So yes, Gollum. He runs away. He runs away back into the tunnel. I guess it doesn't really matter. He'll pop up later.
Yeah.
But he just kind of gets out of there. He did enough to make sure that Frodo was put down, as the kids say. Got to avoid the spicy words for the YouTube or whatever.
We must have said that before.
Yeah, probably. So he, at the end of the chapter, Frodo is sprinting on ahead. Sam is following behind. Shelob comes out between them. Sam tries to call out and warn Frodo, but Gollum chokes him and puts a hand over his mouth before he can do that. The point being, let's make sure that Frodo dies. I believe, for some reason, Gollum believes that Shelob will eat Frodo and then leave the ring alone, which that doesn't necessarily make sense to me. That's probably the best bet that Gollum has. I don't know that that's how that would actually work, because it does seem like, I mean, even the cave troll in Moria was seeking the ring. Like, there's some kind of pull there for all creatures of evil. So I feel like Shelob probably would have just taken the ring anyway.
Interesting.
I don't know.
She can speak, but she's definitely more of like a monstrous animalistic sort of evil.
Mm-hmm.
And the ring is a ring of like a domination. And Shelob is like we already started talking about, she's more of a predator than a tyrant. So maybe Gollum is on the right track.
Okay.
But there might be a possibility for what you're saying.
It's the one thing I thought of that would make that, like, maybe that is a different point, is there's specific mention that Shelob here predates the ring.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the other monsters and creatures, I guess, come from it, or at least come after it, and so the ring is a dominant presence when those monsters are born. Whereas Shelob existed way before it, and to her maybe it's just, future technology that she can't really get a hold of. So what do I have to do with that?
Are you saying she's an outdated grandma monster?
I mean, basically.
Oh my.
There's only one of her. She hangs out in one cave, and that's it. Her kids do a lot of damage elsewhere, but she's just there personally.
Oh my.
Do you have anything else on Gollum there, or should we just talk about Shelob's lore for as little as I know of it?
Maybe before we pivot to that at the end is we gotta give Sam a hand for just clapping Gollum. That was the cathartic part of the chapter.
Yeah.
It's sad from one perspective, but it's also like, okay, we don't want you to die, Sam. Smack this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's always neat to see Sam overcome people's expectations of him, especially Gollum, who legitimately thinks Sam is just stupid.
Mm-hmm. He's yeah, and you see it from Sam, because Sam really, I don't think he's doing it for himself
But
either.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
He's fighting so fiercely so he can get to Frodo.
yeah, desperation at the delay when his master was in deadly peril. That makes Sam do something violent. Over and over again. I mean, we get the picture that Sam is a nice guy, and Gollum kind of has it in his head that Sam is a nice guy, and he's right. Um, but you finally get this idea from Sam that he is capable of violence. It's just under very specific circumstances when he's doing something to protect someone else from
Yeah.
whatever's happening to
This would
them.
be relevant in the next chapter.
Yeah, still a nice guy. That would
Yeah.
that would still be an accurate personification of who he is. It's just
Yeah.
also more complicated than that. He's more involved than that,
Yeah.
which is pretty
Well, and
cool.
we've seen a hint of this all the way back in Fellowship of the Ring in Moria,
Mm-hmm.
where compared to the other hobbits, like Sam has this special willingness or aggression. It's under a specific circumstance, but
Yeah.
he's mentioned as having like a fire in his eyes
Mm-hmm.
while he's helping to defend his friends from orcs.
And he is I guess after Frodo, the second one to get a scar
I think that's
from
right. Yeah.
fighting. A scratch on his head. And Aragorn says, "Don't worry,
Another
that
glitch
one wasn't.
here.
That one wasn't
Probably
poisoned."
I'm muted on Reagan's end.
No, I can. No, no. That all came through.
Okay.
Your picture froze, but everyone just heard you say, "I am probably muted." Uh,
Well, just want to give you something to go off of. Anyway, Sam's awesome.
Sam is pretty cool, and that's very important because he's about to be the main character for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, how much do I want to spoil? Because of this chapter, you don't know that he's going to be the main character. And the next chapter, you think he's going to be the main character for the rest of it. And then in Return of the King, you realized, yeah, he's not really the main character, but he was carrying it for a good 2 chapters.
Mhm.
Yeah. I guess you learned that Frodo's still alive at the end of the next chapter, which is why he knocks himself out on a gate. Yes, I will bring that up every single episode until it happens.
Hey, it's a good bit.
It is indeed a bit. It's a little silly. He's a little
Yeah,
silly.
but I think that's all I have before Shelob. What
Cool.
about you?
Shelob lore drop.
Yes.
Not a spider.
Oh no.
That is very confusing to me. Just
Yes.
reading. So I believe the line is, "She was a great evil in the form of a spider." It should also be noted somewhere in here. She's not called Shelob. Her name just kind of gets dropped at a random point in the chapter, which I don't really understand. That's definitely you being frozen, but maybe it's just because I'm continuing to talk. I guess we'll see when you come in at the end of it. I'll just pause here. Wait a second. Okay, so we're back. Technology is wonderful. Sometimes it just doesn't work. You know, surprisingly, this is the second time you've lost your internet. I'm at a place with not very good internet, but I haven't lost it yet. So that's crazy, and that's probably good because I'm the one who records these things. So Shelob lore drop. She is not a spider. She is merely some great evil in the form of a spider.
Yeah, merely.
Who can also spin webs like a spider, who also has children that are spiders. And like there's some point at which you start to ask the question, well, if it looks like a spider and it sounds like a spider and it weaves like a spider, like I don't really get what the distinction is. I don't exactly understand the description of her either, because when she comes out at the end, she does have a distinct head and neck, and she has horns, which is like,
Yes.
that's okay. That's not like spiderish, but then a lot of what she does is spiderish. So there's probably some greater distinction there that I'm missing. But do you have any thoughts on those descriptions?
Boy. It's just as far as the descriptions go, is
Yeah, or just like her
Tolkien says it
background.
best. Okay. I'll go off for a while then. For her form, Tolkien says it best when he says she's a great evil in spider shape,
Fair enough.
which is, as you've noted, like approximately spider shape, like mostly, but not quite. I saw one artist's like official rendering had her be this almost bluish, not official, but one artist's picture of Shelob had her be bluish and like all almost alien.
Mm. A
Yeah.
xenomorph.
which is which is not wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, in the Silmarillion, there's I think this monster is mentioned here too, but there's this monster named Ungoliant
Yes.
who
The name does
was
pop up in the
very
chapter.
very bad news. Um, Morgoth found Ungoliant in the void beyond the bounds of the world. That's where she officially was. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
She's so powerful, she scared Morgoth, master of Sauron, and she ate the trees, which were in kind of taking the place of the sun and moon at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to read the Silmarillion.
What is?
So she ate
Like
those.
rings of power because there's a tree that's so bright and it's shining and important. That's where they got that from.
They did steal that. Yeah, so Ungoliant
And did you
eats
know
those
if you put
holy
metal
trees.
on the tree, it keeps the tree alive? And if you put metal on
Yeah,
the
that
elves, it keeps the elves alive? Did they got that from
isn't
the
that cool?
Silmarillion too, didn't they?
Oh, for sure, for
Oh my.
sure.
Sorry. I will stop.
You're fine. The
Oh, well, I'll
Morgoth
keep
and
on
Ungoliant.
going.
No, no, no. Not you're not that forgiven.
Oh, well.
But Morgoth and Ungoliant escape because that was on the island of the gods,
Hmm.
and they could none of them could stop Ungoliant.
Okay.
Morgoth stole the holy jewels, the Silmarils, and Ungoliant says, "I'd like to eat those too." And Morgoth said, "No." And then she tried to eat Morgoth.
Hmm.
She got driven off only by all the Balrogs,
Oh,
and then she hid in a chasm where she ate herself.
okay. Okay. That's cool.
And then for hundreds of years, that valley has a bunch of Shelob-sized spiders until that half of the continent falls under the water, which apparently is where Shelob came from.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so Morgoth is like the god of evil or something. I'm sure there's a
Yeah,
better.
he's the first. He's the first rebel. Yeah,
Okay. So he plays the role of Satan. Is that the idea?
basically. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's one of his lieutenants is Sauron. So Sauron's
Mhm.
not even arch evil. He's just kind of like the next door
Lieutenant
neighbor
Evil.
of arch evil. Um, I would ask where Morgoth went to, but that's probably a longer conversation for the Silmarillion. I guess we'll leave it for there.
Mostly, and I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, okay. But it's like Morgoth and Ungoliant were hanging out, and then their inheritors basically are also hanging out because there is mention here that Sauron knows where
Oh
Shelob
yeah,
is, and just kind of he feeds her like a man feeding his cat. Um,
yeah.
he calls her his cat. She doesn't answer to it, but like it kind of is that
Hmm.
way.
Exactly.
So I guess they're mirroring their how the other relationship went. Is
Hmm.
Ungoliant actually a spider, or is she just an evil thing, also in the form of a spider?
Yeah. Colossal. One thing that it has relevance to Shelob is she has this aura or ability to make things really dark,
Ah,
which is sort of something Shelob seems to have here.
Okay.
Even in opposition to the file of Galadriel at first in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's bright at first. Shelob seems to gather some dark power to quell that, and then Frodo makes it even brighter.
So the darkness is not all natural in that layer.
Yeah, no, certainly not.
Cool. Um, so Ungoliant is the big bad one. She has a bunch of spiders like Shelob. I'm going to assume
Hmm.
Shelob is the only one who made it onto the mainland. I have
I
no
think so.
idea. That's good. Shelob already causes a bunch of problems because her children are the spiders that go inhabit like Mirkwood and stuff. I assume.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
so those are Ungoliant's grandchildren, and those are in opposition in the Hobbit. I don't think we ever
Yeah,
see
that's
them
right.
again,
That's right.
which is good. Um, so that's about how that family tree goes. Hooray! Do you think? Question. I guess this is just supposition. Um, Shelob is named as older than Sauron and existing before Sauron came around and the One Ring and all. Barad-dûr was laid. She existed before all that stuff. So that would seem to imply, in a lot of these cases, it seems like age is directly corresponding to your power level, and so it seems like she would be more
In
powerful.
many cases,
Yes, but then Sauron also treats her like she's his cat. So I would assume that Sauron could kick her out if he wanted to, and he just doesn't want to. Like, I assume the relative power level is Sauron's the real power, and Shelob's also there, even though the age would seem to contradict that. That's just a guess.
yeah. Well, specifically, she's not said to be older than Sauron, but in Mordor, longer than Sauron has been.
Okay. Is that true? That's probably true.
I think so.
Maybe I misread that. Yeah, she was there. Who was there before Sauron and before the first stone of Barad-dûr. But
Yeah.
I guess nothing in terms of actual age.
So this is an ancient layer of hers.
Yes.
Um, if she was born in that chasm, even thousands of years ago, in the days of the Silmarillion, Sauron would still be older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Well, Sauron is the upstart who only came to this land recently, but he is
That's right.
much more powerful, and
He-
he
this is
likes.
silly to say.
Well,
He's a spider colonizer.
I'm just gonna let that sit there. I don't really know what to do with that. You know,
That
they
wasn't worth
deserve it.
interrupting you.
I
I'm
hate
sorry.
spiders. I don't really care. Persecute the spiders.
Oh my.
Oh man.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
I'm so sorry.
Well, the
It's not worth
descriptions
it.
of her being a pet is very apt because I guess he knows that there are two main entrances into Mordor. One of them the gate that he watches, and one of them this pass. And he just keeps her so that she guards the pass, basically.
Yeah,
She's a tool for him more than anything. I think is what we're supposed to take away from that.
that's right.
And she has never failed her job before, but she's about to.
Yeah,
But I think that's next chapter, and so we can leave some of
that's
those
right.
implications for there. Anything else as we're going through this chapter? Again, a lot of this chapter is like experiential more than necessarily analyzable. I guess that's probably not a word.
Yeah, I think so. No, I don't. I don't really think I have anything else.
Very cool. Then we will see what happens to Sam and Frodo next time on Dragon Ball Z. Can you imagine if they
Yeah,
were in Dragon Ball? That would be wonderful.
yeah. I don't know, man.
You ever seen Dragon Ball?
No, that's part of why I can't imagine it.
It's worth a little bit of it for the meme, and then you'll understand why people make fun of it. And that's about it. That's a
Okay.
recommendation. Maybe we watch an episode of Dragon Ball, and that's our in
Hey,
between Two Towers and
it's your
Return of the King.
choice. It's your choice for
It is
this
my
upcoming
choice.
intermission.
I have to come up with that, but that'll be 2 weeks from now because next week we read the last chapter. So, thank you for
Yep.
listening, and I suppose we will see you all then.